Hi everyone, this is Big Benedict. We're playing DmC on Dante Must Die difficulty. It's the hardest mode available for play. And this is mission 13 entitled Devil's Dalliance. And in the next mission, mission 14, we'll be doing the boss fight. So, I really like this level. It's a little bit too bright, but I like the aesthetic of the audience and the platforming, and it's a little contrived with the Fight Club references and the Mortal Kombat, the round 2 fight, that kind of stuff. But other than that, it is a pretty tough chapter. I think the endurance fights in this chapter are much harder than the previous chapter. So here's wave number 2, no checkpoint. So you want to dispatch these knights here promptly by aerial attacks, because the Dream Runner can't get up to you if you're in the air like that. So do the aerial attacks and just keep the camera off the Dream Runner until you kill these guys here. And watch out for their flame attack. Did you see that? It's an area of effect attack that hits you right in a direct line. So I have a hard time, and I think a lot of people would agree with this, with the Arbiter getting the YY pause Y off on this guy, because he just does not get stunned long enough to pull that combo off. I mean, one of the things that I think might be a problem for people is if they're trying to do that move, getting interrupted because he parries so much. So I think I'll alternate to the gloves over here. So we're just doing our perfect evasions when we can, and we're trying to go in for the heavy strikes. Now, if you can get off that YY pause Y combo with the added hit point strength buff with the demon evade, this guy would go down pretty quickly. I mean, that would probably take off half his life. And I don't know. This is a pretty long chapter, and I have all the items. Some of the items are very well hidden as well. What I don't like about this game is that when you go from difficulty to difficulty, the items that you would normally pick up, like every time you start a new campaign on the other on the other DMCs, the items are there every time you pick, and you could stack them up, and it's called item harvesting, even though it's kind of a weird assignation to call that what you're doing there. But you can't do it on this game, because once you pick up an item, it's like that's all there is, regardless of what campaign you're on. So my advice is to use as few items on the previous difficulties. If you just got this game and you want the achievement for beating it on this game, just go through the 2 preceding difficulties, but do not, if you can, don't waste too many items. Now, you're not given a checkpoint here, so be very careful. This is a 3rd wave, and what I'm going to do is use the kablooey on these dogs to get them out of the way, and then we're just going to be dealing with the ghost rage. So, a fun level. I mean, this is the woman's terrain. I don't know her name. I forgot it. She carries Mundus' spawn, whom we'll be fighting in the next chapter. I like the next fight. The boss fight. I guess that's why I like these boss fights, because they're so formulaic and they're hard. But the more you practice them, the more they get better. I mean, creative boss fights can be good too. I'm just saying, from a person whose perspective is that he doesn't like boss fights, it's really good to have simplified, streamlined boss fights that are challenging but not, you know, over the top kind of thing. So this is a pretty weird encounter here with the witch and the harpies here. So what I'm doing is I'm using the kablooey to take care of these guys, but as you can observe, if you don't focus on the witch, she will shield the enemy that you're focusing on. So if you can get these guys down, that's pretty good. Just keep, you see how I was focusing on that harpy and then she shielded the harpy, but that could actually benefit you if you want to just go right over to the witch and take care of her. So there's plenty of space here to work with, and I'm kind of like, my mentality on this fight was a little ambiguous. I wasn't sure, you know, about the kablooey, the gun. What a dumb fucking name for that gun. Like, the best gun I've ever played with, used, is the grenade gun from the first game. Definitely. So a lot of this chapter is just either endurance fights or semi-endurance fights and platforming. No puzzles. The only puzzle that exists in this game is the one late in the game where you have to rotate everything, and it's so, I hate it so much. I really do. So a little concept art was unlocked there. That's nice. I'm just going from harpy to harpy, and I'm detaching from these guys when I see that they're using their whirlwind attack. But the problem is we're going to have another enemy come in here, I believe, or a new wave start. Yeah, it's the Blood Rage here. Focus on killing the harpies though, because they're pretty easy. Once you're latching on them from a distance, as long as you're pretty high up, the guy can't slash at you from beneath you. However, if you're, I've been hit out of the air from his slashes, and I've been dangling from these harpies. So do the roulette spin once you latch onto them to give yourself some more height, and that will prevent the Blood Rage from hitting at you. Now, what I did there was actually I used an item because I was almost deceased, and I just decided to use one. So I am very sorry for having to use one of those items right there, but I still have 9 left. With the harpy gone now, I'm just going to focus on killing the Blood Rage with uppercuts. You see how long he takes to get to his feet, so it's a great opportunity to do the level 2 uppercut. Although that was the first level uppercut right there. There's a lost soul beneath the stairs right there if you don't have it. And then what we're going to be doing every time is just using the Erics to smash these. And make sure you're in demon form on these, otherwise you'll take damage. And then switch to the angel form here. And it's pretty generous, they don't hit you. I love this next fight though. I love little added touches to the environment like this. What's going to happen is 2 rows are going to light up. It's a bad idea though. See how I was at the top? It's a bad idea to stay up there just in case you're not aware of which rows are going to light up. You always know because it alternates. It's going to be red, blue, red, blue, red, blue. But if you're right at the top, you might not have enough time. It's very minimal damage, but I just, something in my mind really enjoys this kind of aesthetic when I'm doing a fight like this. It's like, we've already done a lot of fights like this, but once they add something creative to it, it's even funner. So you saw the damage I took right there. It's pretty negligible, but it's damage you don't have to take otherwise if you're just cautious. And I think personally for this difficulty, they should alternate it so you're not really sure which one's coming. It wouldn't be that hard, but it would just mix things up a little bit. So looks like they are now in double trigger mode, so that I'm gonna have to keep hitting them more times. And now we're gonna hit the switch again. Every time you hit a switch, you get a checkpoint, or rather the checkpoint is right before. Anyway, I think there's an item over here which I'll show you. No, it might not be this set of blocks, but I just love the music. I love the environment. I love all the waving lines. It's really good. But no, the hidden item's not over here. So now this part here, you have a minute to kill the butcher, but it won't take you much longer than like 30 seconds to take this guy out. And you don't have to worry this time about the floor. The floor is not a hazard anymore. So yeah, that's what I like more now as far as dealing with this guy. I like doing the demon roll, and then when he's doing his last two attacks, I like jumping in the air while shooting to give myself the hang time that I need to clear him. So just watch out for him when he blows up, and then you'll get a checkpoint over here. So if you have any damage on your person, just restart the checkpoint and you'll be completely filled up. But there are occasionally items to the left and to the right on hidden platforms, hidden from the main view of the camera. Though I know there's a devil star, but like over here, this was where there was some kind of an item. I think it was I don't think they ever give you large healing leaves. I think you have to purchase those, but this is where a small one was located up here, and I just thought there would be another one up there, even though I know that the items don't repopulate. I just thought, maybe there was something out there. Anyway, now we're about halfway through the level, and we're going to be doing the next fight. We have this Titan guy here, and we have different floor panels lighting up. I guess these would be the columns, but okay, so we have the two knights here plus the charger. I forget what he's called, but you know the drill on these guys. You just want to try to do the demon evade. They have a lot of range though, but it is generous as long as you get that evasion in, they will give you the iframes you need to get around this guy. So I mean, I personally don't enjoy using the angelic weapons. I think they're a nuisance, but they have to be used to kill some enemies. So, just take advantage of them. They are pretty strong, I mean, once you get them charged up. Again, just watch out for the floor panels. Make sure you have the demon mode that's on the floor appropriately. So, we are coming up on... Let's see which fight we're coming up on. If it's the one with the two Dream Runners, then that is very tricky. And this one Dream Runner that starts the fight, he looks a little different. No, we're not quite there yet. We're dealing with some demon dogs here. But I was going to do the Dream Runner ×2 fight without using I did not want to use the devil trigger, but it's one of those situations where it's really tough, because a lot of the times when you're coming off a demon evade, when there's two enemies, you lock onto the wrong person, and when you lock onto the wrong person in a situation whereby you're fighting two of those Dream Runners, you can't latch on to the other Dream Runner because he's probably out of your range, or you can't lock onto him just because they won't let you. You have to be coming off a perfect evade to be able to latch onto him, because that will put him out of his defensive posture. But I did discover that if you just want to jump over the charging beast when they do the charge, I think I demonstrated over here. But Just use your devil trigger wisely. Make sure you at least have half of it for the Dream Runner fight, because I was thinking to myself, maybe somebody comes there without the devil trigger, but that's on them if that happens, because they can just use a devil star. Even a small one would be sufficient to make that fight manageable. I mean, much more manageable than it is. But did you see how these guys are charging at me, and I'm just jumping over it? Just make sure that you start your jump well in advance of his charge, otherwise he's just going to hit you. I personally enjoy this stage. It's got a lot of techno, light strobing stuff going on for it. But don't try. What I was thinking was maybe I could carry my double trigger into the next stage, and the answer to that, well, it wasn't a question, but you can't carry it over, because I just completed the stage, and I don't know how much devil trigger I had, but I had some, and then when I went to the next mission 14 with the boss, no devil trigger. So the only mission where you start with it, I think, is mission 10 for some reason. I don't know. Coming off the level with where you get the devil trigger. But maybe I was wrong about that. But I seem to recall, and you could double check my videos if you want to go back and look for that. So that was a really simple fight. Now we're going on to the next section here. I love how the woman's taunting him the whole time, but she's pretty mild about her taunts. So what do we have here? We have a Hell Knight. Any chainsaw enemies? No chainsaw enemies. Right there, I was just consulting it to see whether I got a checkpoint. And as usual, I couldn't glance at it fast enough to see if I got one. I don't think you get one, though. You've got to do these two fights without perishing. What I was thinking about doing on the Dream Runner fight was the Trinity Smash, because it would decimate them. And I can confirm that you have time enough to get it off, but the Dream Runners, they tend to fly away from you after you hit them. Like, their recoil is pretty far away from you when you strike them. Same with the witches. It's really annoying. So the Eryx is a better solution to deal with that situation, because they don't go flying so far.
Oh, no way. He doesn't. He wants you dead. And I just don't give him what he wants.
So as you can see, there's just a lot of fights in round 5. Here we go. This is the guy has got a red mask on, and I don't know what that signifies, whether he has more HP or what. But after about 15 seconds, I would say, the second Dream Runner, yeah, that was about 10 seconds. The second Dream Runner is going to come into the picture. And I kept trying this to do it without the devil trigger, but I just lacked the patience to do it. Plus, I figured I've been conservative thus far with the devil trigger, so I'm going to use it on a fight that I need to use it on. And that's what I've been saying in a couple of these videos. If you don't have the devil trigger, that's not my fault. If you're going to complain and say that, I can't do this because I don't have the devil trigger, and you have the devil trigger, and thus you have an advantage. Well, you must have used your devil trigger on another section where I didn't use it, and thus you had an advantage. So, no one really says that, but, you never know. People are pretty strange. So watch out. Try to do 2 evades on these guys. You'll have to if both of them are teleporting, and sometimes that'll sacrifice your hit. For instance, if you do a perfect evade and then you've got to do another perfect evade, that means that you're not getting in your hit after that first perfect evade. You're just kind of avoiding getting hit. So I'm kind of uncertain about what's the best weapon for this. The Eryx is a lot faster, and it seems to knock them out of their posture more. But then again, the sledgehammer is a lot faster, but it it just lacks the range and the speed that you need. I mean, it's got a little bit more range than the Eric's, but not much when you think about it. So this was one of my takes where I was not going to use the devil trigger, and then I just said, you know, I have quite a lot of it. So, and also if you're trying to do the, I think it's called the stomp with the Eric's, these guys can also attack you from the ground and into the air. They'll just knock you out of the air. So there's nothing that these guys won't do to knock you off your posture and just cut through your poise like it's nothing. So my disposition here was that, you know, I've got a fair amount of health. I can survive a few attacks. I'm just going to save my devil trigger up for any subsequent fights before the conclusion of a level, and I'm not concerned about taking devil trigger out of this level, since, as I just confirmed several minutes ago, they're just going to subtract it from your bar, which is stupid. But maybe it is for balancing issues. I don't know, because you could always just use a double star. So we're coming up on the last fight, and I think it's a fight with 3 waves, but we'll have to see just exactly what that is. Okay, so after you take care of those bugs, we're going to pound the ground and move on to the next fight, the final fight. It's round 6. And I did think that was kind of corny to do the Mortal Kombat, you know, round 6. You know, with the voice, the really deep, heavy voice. So there's the bitch up there. We're going to need to take care of her pretty soon. So we've got the demon dogs plus the. These aren't the ghost beasts. They must be the angelic brutes. But I'm just trying to take care of those guys. Excuse me, the demon dogs. I'm just trying to take care of those guys. I was panning the camera around right there to look to see if there are any pods with green health in them. I don't think there are. But these dogs can, strangely, they don't charge across the screen at you, and I think the reason for that is because they don't come in a pair. That must be the reason. But as you can see, I mean, they're just as easy to take care of as the Frost Knights with that twirling attack. And you could also build upon that twirl. Just do it and then let go and then hold it again, and then it'll do a longer charge and a stronger charge as well. So once this wave is done, we're going to have a witch and a brute whose color is opposite of this one here. And it's just annoying because you need to use the angel weapons on the witch and the demon on the rages here. The rage, excuse me. But this is the end of the fight. This is all you need to do. So remember to get over here as quickly as you can. And I don't think that you can contain... No, you cannot contain the demon rage with the Eric's weapon the way you can with other enemies. Like, you can't do that left trigger plus O move on those guys and stun them. So right here I'm just taking care of the witch because she's got to be taken care of first, otherwise she'll put the defenses up behind around the other enemy and I just can't do anything. So somehow I survived that without getting damaged. But I don't know, I think this is a really interesting and cool level. Pretty challenging too. I mean, it would be challenging to do it without you. I mean, I didn't use any items, but it would be challenging to do it without that devil trigger on the Dream Runner ×2 fight. But this should be the conclusion of the chapter. Thank you very much for watching.